What about the MVP?
Yeah, so a lot of options here. Typically, it goes to a quarterback, we know. So this is your chance to get a Rams money line at plus odds because you best bet Matthew Stafford at plus 120. Most efficient way to play the Rams money line to me. Quarterback has won the MVP award for the last 5 and 9 of the last 12. Cup is also interesting at plus 700 if you think he's going to go over his receiving total like you do. If he has 100 plus yards, if he has 2+ touchdowns, if Stafford throws 1 or 2 back-breaking picks, they'll be looking to give it to somebody else. And
just really quickly, just because I want to point out that 4 receivers since '99 have won the MVP. Those are Julian Edelman in the 13-3 game. Deion Branch, that was in the Eagles game. I think it was the Eagles. The Eagles Pats Super Bowl when Deion Branch won.
Yes.
Sorry, there's Diva quickly remembering the Super Bowl MVP of that game.
Trey Burton, by the way.
Trey Burton. God, I was completely blanking. I was like, I cannot think of this guy's name. Thank you. And then Santonio Holmes won it when Ben Roethlisberger had been under some scrutiny off the field, obviously, and the voters didn't want to give it to him. And Santonio Holmes had a huge game, and then Hines Ward also in a low-scoring game. And in those 2 Patriots games, we saw where Tom Brady had won the Super Bowl MVP within the last 2 years of those particular games. And so I sort of wonder if there wasn't voter fatigue there. I mean, does that concern you at all with betting on Cooper Kupp? Because his odds have come down quite a bit, right?
Yeah, and at plus 700, he isn't great value. So it's just a little bit more of a lottery ticket than plus 120. That you're some was probably the most realistic one. If it's not going to be a quarterback, obviously that's what the odds are telling me. Now, if you want to do a super lottery ticket, the value pick there is Tyler Boyd at plus 7,500, 75 to 1. So since we said going to prioritize quick passing, probably a lot of targets for Boyd, especially if Uzomah's out. Even if Uzomah's in, I think you want to get the ball to Boyd and move the chains, get those receptions, stay out of those third and longs, which are going to kill them if they get in third and long. So I think that's going to be good there. And you look at the guys that are around him on 75 to 1. Also, you're talking about Kendall Blanton, talking about Logan Wilson, Darrell Henderson, who if he plays isn't going to get a lot of touches. So having a guy here who probably is going to get a decent amount of targets really makes no sense to me. I don't think he's going to win MVP, but I think he deserves to be higher than those guys for sure. So I think you're getting value at this number of 75 to 1, which is also the Evan McPherson number. And he's been awesome. And I know there's going to be some calls from some angles, some areas of some
analysts,
on the Pick Six podcast that he should win MVP if he has another 4 field goals in this game, but they're not going to give it to a kicker. I mean, the voters are just not going to do that for a Super Bowl. If it's a low scoring game where kickers matter and the Bengals win 12-9, probably give it to a defensive player or something like that. So if somebody's getting picks in that game,
it would need to be like 8. It would need to be like 18-14, and like all 18 points come from the kicker.
And like 3 over 50 yards, and like no defensive player has an interception, and only one guy has like a sack, or one sack is the maximum.
Or like the Rams are just coughing the ball up and they're not doing anything. Yeah, exactly. That's unlikely. I think 2 Rams defenders make sense as longer shots. Aaron and look, and on the Cooper Kupp 7-1 thing, Patrick Cantley was the favorite when the Amex teed off on Thursday, and he was 7-1. Like, it's way more likely that Cooper Kupp wins Super Bowl MVP at 7-1 than it is that Patrick Cantley just wins a golf tournament with a field of whatever it is, like 120 golfers. Like, I mean, just the very, like, if you just thinking comparing odds, it's and Cantley was in it for a long time, but I don't hate the Kupp bet. I guess I'm saying I'd much rather bet Kupp at that number, and he just goes nuclear and because if he has 12 catches, 180 yards, and Stafford ends up, with 300 yards passing, and they win in a fairly low scoring game, but it's all come from Kupp, and the voters will give it to him in a heartbeat. So I was kind of pushing back on it, but didn't want to like totally. I wanted to point out that it's not like a bad number. The 2 Rams defenders that I like, Von Miller, he's won a Super Bowl MVP before. Super Bowl. Oh, look at that. Super Bowl 50. Panthers lost to the Broncos. And Aaron Donald, who has been on the stage before. And I think just because of his ability to completely wreck an opposing offense, if like the Bengals don't do much in the first half and he's playing really well, and then he's able to tee off in the second half, 18-1, not great for a defensive player, but a guy like Aaron Donald, if he has three sacks or something like that, the buzz is going to be around Aaron Donald in the media box.
And you want to see him like score a touchdown or scoop up a fumble, and return it for a touchdown or something. Once you get that touchdown by the defensive player, then really all bets are off. Malcolm Smith type of performance there. So, that could happen with a guy that talented. You never know. So it's just hard to predict who's going to get that, but he's going to be in the mix. If there's pressure on Burrow, you got to believe he's going to be the guy in the backfield.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is if you think about it like this, if let's say the Rams win the game, is 24-10 a reasonable score, or is that just too low?
I think it's reasonable. Actually, one of my long shot plays that I liked, I was looking at is Bengals exact point total. You got one of the options at 100-1 is 12, and I'm like 12 isn't too. 4 field goals again with no touchdowns. That's 12, but you also get the 2 field goals. You get their down 24-6 late. They get that touchdown, and then they're like, all right, the only chance we have is to go for 2 here. And they don't get it. So then you're stuck at 24-12. So I think there's, with those 2 paths to being at 12, I think 100-1, I don't think he's going to hit 100-1, but 100-1, I think it's better than a 1% chance. So,
it's 100-1 for a reason. The Rams, the Bengals, I don't think that the Rams are just going to lock. I find it hard to believe there's lock down the Bengals for the full game, but they really do have some elite players that can exploit the Bengals' weaknesses. And so if you think this can be a low scoring game where, it's again, let's say it's 17-3 at half or something like that. And that sounds crazy, but the Rams and the Patriots were good offenses and it happened to them too. And let's say it's 17-3 and then it comes out second half, Bengals put up a couple points, but not much. And the Rams are really conservative in the second half. You're going to be looking at a defensive MVP for the Rams more than likely in a low-scoring game like that. And Von Miller and Aaron Donald have been playing great this postseason and are good splash guys. So I like both of them.
Yeah, and the one thing that would put me off of that, I'm going a Rams defensive player, is I think it's more likely if you have like a spread out offensive game, with you don't have one guy that's coalescing, getting all the stats. But we know that guy's going to be Kupp. If the Rams are scoring a big total if he has 100 yards, I think it's hard to give it to a defensive player. You're like, this guy got 100 yards, even if the quarterback didn't play well. Let's give it to him.
It's like the Rams Pats. I mean, everybody was sort of wondering who the hell's. I mean, I remember being in that press box. Everybody's like, who the hell's the Super Bowl MVP? You look around and you're like, Edelman's had a great game. All right, Edelman works. I mean, that's just sort of how it operates. And again, as always, we stress that with these MVP bets, you were talking about reporters who are doing this as an extraneous thing. It's not their job to just sit there and monitor and vote. They're going to fill out this ballot, run downstairs, get quotes. If it's a close game, it's often difficult to, if it's a close game, tons of points, it's going to default to a quarterback. And even if it's not a ton of points, it still might anyway. So I like Matthew Stafford as well because I like the Rams in this spot.